Hi, my name's Michael Campbell and I'm the Executive Director of Westwords. Westwords is Western Sydney's literature development organisation, and we are dedicating to developing, celebrating and championing the stories of Western Sydney. Western Sydney is one of the world's most culturally and ethnically diverse regions. Almost 1 in 10 Australians live here. And it is from that diversity of stories and perspectives and experiences that tell us who we are and the imaginings of who we can be. We help develop the writers, and we do that from the very youngest of ages, working with schools and after-school classes and holiday workshop programs. And then we take writers through a series of developmental opportunities, through mentorships, fellowships, residencies, right the way through to us advocating for them for mainstream publication. You're about to hear from 3 writers that we've been working closely with. They are James Roy, Christina Donahue and Aisha Ali. Enjoy.
Children of Chai by Aisha Ali. The cup embraces you with its warm grasp. There is a sweet suckle on the white lining of the porcelain that embalms your lips. The liquid overflows with the laughter in the room, pulls around us like a comforter. Our eyes are made of milk and sweetener. Mine are bitter and dark, but yours are earthy and floral. There is a deep abyss that traverses this tea, traces back its leaves into a soil far from the amber gold that sits like prayer in our hands. There is a chai-coloured sky that cradled a baby moon many, many seasons ago in a land of frangipani, sugarcane and a green mountainous glaze that birthed my grandmother and her marigold hands that hold to heal, harvested our hearts, plucked us with preciousness, cultivated us with care and compassion like growing buds in a field. How did we bloom here? How did we get here? Us, Fijian Indians, dragged across the Pacific and spat on new plains we planted home once again. Stapled onto sugarcane plantations, we became intercessors for sweetness. Smuggled old culture into the soil, and when the melanin spilt through these troghs, these seeds sprouted. We, children of the chai, people of thoroughness and deep brewed tenderness. I watch my grandmother as she makes chai, dips the sweetened milk and the tea leaves, pours them between 2 pialas like a dance, a sacred orchestra. There is a holy ritual in her hands. She says that this is kolancha, well-brewed tea, that everything that is sweet and sawad has an intricate and enduring process. I think that this is the tourniquet of our existence.
Emotional Eating by Christina Donahue. Sadness, a pot left to boil, filled to the brim with tap water and snap-frozen home-brand green beans, shrinking and hyper-coloured, a green to grey khaki camo beans, a hesitant simmer now, less bean and more pot, less stringy and more slop. Have to finish your beans and lumpy mashed potato or you won't get ice cream. A cringe finishes it off nicely with tomato sauce. Mash it together, stringy potato pink. Hold your nose to savour tasteless, stringless slop. Tastes like, don't forget to say grace, and then God for this mess. There's children starving in Africa. The world vision of dinner manipulations. Greasy ham and eggs sautéed savagely by an $8 an hour cook who is busy writing an opinion piece on nutrition and the evils of modern day farming with a pencil tucked behind his ears, stabbing at hash brown salty crunch. Tomatoes have given up their firm, robust stance to become like butter, rich mush acid pomodoro on the side, smoky, salty strips of piggy meat, blood pudding, fatty, black and tight, sliced with a knife and fried until they sizzle, a congealed feast, served to a hangover, cowering in the corner of the local greasy spoon, a prayer for the plate that restores. Long, fat pappardelle, kneaded and stretched by love's wrinkled hands, gifted siesta, a heavy merlot, bold and round in its dark crimson malaise, rolled by strong hands and stronger oak into strips, generous and resistant. All day it hangs in love's kitchen like willow branches on a hot, lazy afternoon, woken from languid slumber by scalding, rolling boil, a salty, bubbling sea, ending as it starts, curled like contented pussy on tiled winter floor, butter and Parmigiano Reggiano and aged cheesy falling snow on creamy slopes. You should only make this if you mean it. In a garden, wild and free, the rocket grows tall and weedy, flowers like white stars drawn by a hand in a children's picture book. Unapologetic for 4 petals, it will grow where it wants, peppery, dark green leaves, plucked, washed in a metal bowl, tossed with other fresh vegetables and red fruits, massaged with bright green avocado, creamy and green. She fancies herself as more than just guacamole. A voluptuous caramel balsamic drips, brown and syrupy, moving over jagged leaves, its snail trail transforming the garden from fresh to translucent dolls that dance, a labored Argentine tango on an unsuspecting palate. Ripened by the sun on a giving tree, arms outstretched and grateful, packaging its glow in almond furry green maturing, hard brown ridges nervous to be meeting dark chocolate, who grew rich, creamy in private shadowy shell, held by nurturing tree, brought here by sea, powdered and mixed, tasted, crafted, left to its own devices, the two dense, twine in perfect rhythm, zouk in the afternoon, risen in warmth, a soft cake of chocolate, bitter, sweet young love matured by a double cream, dollop, they kiss.
Bread Making for Fun and Profit by James Roy. They say that the true magic of bread is in the smell. Hence this advice for when you're thinking of selling your home. Before you so much as pick up the phone to call a real estate agent, head down to your nearest homeware store and pick up a bread maker. Not an expensive one, just a no-name generic bread maker. Next, wander over to the supermarket, which is probably in the same shopping centre just near the food court. Go straight to the baking aisle and grab 3 small boxes of bread mix. White, wholemeal, multigrain, it really doesn't matter. But not the gluten-free, because that's unnecessarily expensive, especially for the purposes of this exercise. Next, head home. Feel free to unpack your shiny new bread maker, but don't turn it on. Plug it in if you must, but there's no need to fire it up yet, since there are several steps. Place one of your 3 boxes of bread mix beside the appliance. The other 2 you should store in a cool, dry place. Now you can ring your preferred realtor. Tell them that you want them to come and perform a valuation. Book a date and time, but, and this point is critical, ask them for a specific time. There's There's a window to consider here, a window of roughly half an hour. If they're unable to commit to that window, hang up and call another realtor. This cannot be stressed strongly enough. Now it's time to consult the user's manual for the bread maker and find out how long the basic bread setting takes. Some bread makers have settings for heavy rye, crusty artisanal, beer bread, pizza dough. No, ignore these. Basic is what you're after. The time given should be somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. Now, subtract that amount of time from the expected arrival time of the real estate valuer. Does the reason for this need to be explained? No, not to anyone who has ever smelt the aroma of freshly baked bread curling out of the kitchen and into every corner of the home. Some science. The secret is in the way the yeast multiplies and grows to fill the thousands of chambers within the dough. That first languorous bite into fresh bread isn't really about the taste of the glutinous fibres, but rather those pockets of aroma being pressed by the tongue against the hard palate and bursting, releasing hundreds of tiny explosions of warm consolation. The aroma of new bread is merely a promise of this moment, a moment that emanates from the offerings of European bakeries and patisseries, from campfire fresh damper, from nani Afghani, Ethiopian injera, tortillas and naan. It's doubtful that the effect this has on the listed price of one's home has ever been properly quantified. This makes perfect sense, since the taste and smell and texture and social effects of good food are not quantifiable. Nor should they be. To attempt such an exercise would be to risk breaking the spell. Of course, it will not have been lost on the observant viewer that these instructions required a second and third box of bread mix. It seems to go without saying that the second is for the morning of the open house. Now, let's talk about coffee. Oh, I almost forgot. The third box of bread mix? Isn't it obvious? Leaving a much-loved family home is an emotional event. You're going to need support.